Hare Krishna, Namaste. If someone does something unpleasing to us, like backbiting, insulting, humiliating, etc., how should we react to such things? Can we go and complain to some other devotees? Or can I even go and complain to Krishna directly? Being a Vaishnava, neither one should be done. We should know by complaining that person is not going to necessarily change. Rather, it may even aggravate him to do worse thing to us. Again, this is not out of fear that we should not take any action. This is out of proper understanding the truth, the reality. One does not go and complain. Then one may ask a question. That means we must suffer for that person's mistakes, that person's wrongdoing to us. Let's learn something from Mother Sita, what she did when things happened to her. When Hanuman came to inform Mother Sita about Lord Rama's victory over Ravana and Vibhishana is going to take over Lanka, in joy Mother Sita wanted to do something for Hanuman, but being in Lanka, she didn't have anything to give him. But Hanuman requested for one thing, that is her permission, so he can crush and squeeze all the 700 Rakshasis who were appointed by Ravana that time to torture Mother Sita by words and actions. Hearing this request from Hanuman, Mother Sita said, Papanam va shubhanam va vadarhanam plavangama karyam karunyamarena na kaschinna aparaditi. A devotee, a noble person, always shows kindness to anyone and everyone, even those who committed offense to him, because one knows that there is not one person who have never committed any sins. Hanuman, these Rakshasis were just appointed by Ravana at that time, and they did their job for they getting paid. Now that Vibhishana is the king, he is going to ask these same Rakshasis to serve me, and these 700 Rakshasis are going to serve me. They are just doing as dictated by their authority, that's all. Moreover, for a person like you, who is well educated, who is wise, taking revenge, punishing people out of anger, finding faults in others, is not a good thing to do. From this, we can understand how Mother Sita dealt the situation. As our mind becomes broader, our heart opens up. When we become wiser and mature in Krishna consciousness, we will not see others' fault, even if they have faults. And even if we see them for some reason, which may be of obvious ones, we will not pick on those faults, and we will also not remember those faults. We will forget it. More we keep those past bad incidents happen in our life, more we keep thinking bad about that person who did something to us, the more pain is for us, not for that person. So better to forgive and forget, as who doesn't make mistakes? Can we say we never committed any mistakes? We never committed any sins? But we are very generous to forgive ourselves and forget our sins. When it comes to others, we hold on to those mistakes, those faults, but that is not going to help us in any ways. Rather, it just disturbs our consciousness, contaminates our consciousness, and also jeopardize our spiritual progress. So best thing is to not to hold on to the red hot iron in the form of anger and other emotions. Best is to throw that red hot iron from our hands and apply some medicine on our burnt hands by some spiritual practices. Also, we can contemplate how the Lord is so very merciful, so very forgiving us life after life. Every life before coming into this world, when we are in the womb of our mother, we make promises, but we never keep up that promises that we make to the Lord. But the Lord is still forgiving. He keeps continuously giving us many opportunities to come close to Him. He tries to help us spiritually progress. And that's the same mood of any great saints and sages, gurus, acharyas. Though we are so sinful, they keep trying to help us, to make us sinless, to make us faultless. The advantage of becoming faultless, sinless, is like a clear glass. Then we start seeing no fault in others. As long as we have faults, we will continue seeing faults in others. One may argue saying that we have to pay back others for their mistakes, otherwise they will not learn. They will continue committing such mistakes now to me, then to others. Well, the first point is, are we in that position, in that authority to correct someone? If yes, one must certainly do. If not, one must move on with life. We won't be able to correct each and every one. It's better to correct ourselves how we deal with others. Well, these dialogues are all good, but these are the mood and action of those who doesn't have courage, who cannot face challenges, who cannot face danger, opposition, difficulties. They are fearful. They don't have mental strength. Therefore, they shy away from such things. This could be an argument. But the truth is, it really requires a lot of mental strength for one to get to the highest tolerance and patience. Those who are not strong mentally, who are weak, are the ones who very quickly and easily give away and react to the situation and become intolerant and impatient. They raise their voice, they pick on fights, they argue, they find faults, etc. Now the question is, if we see some mistakes happening, some faults taking place, should we say something about it, or should we act as if we didn't see, we didn't hear anything about it? Should we be dumb and blind as if nothing happened, or should we do something about it? Answer: we can certainly convey the mistakes, but not to hurt that person. That should not be the goal when we convey the mistake, when we pinpoint the mistake, but to correct that person, that situation, that too only if possible, or correct that person through right source, someone else. If we don't have a relationship, good relationship with that person, our good advices is not going to be heard. Sometimes, even if we have a good relationship with someone, our good advices may not work. Therefore, people try to just stay quiet even if they see something wrong in others, whom they know very well, whom they have good relationship. But that's not what one's supposed to do. If we care for that person and we have a good relationship, we should convey the mistakes in a palatable way, not to hurt that person, but help that person to correct his mistakes. And after we do that, we don't go and publicize that we did something for that person. That is again a bad act. With those people who have some faults, it doesn't mean that we have to start associating with those people. We can keep a distance from them, but still never to go and complain to others or to the Lord, so that that person can be punished by the Lord for their mistakes. It is not our duty to request the Lord to punish those people who offend us. If we do so by complaining to the Lord or to other devotees, we are spoiling that person's name and also spoiling ourselves by projecting how narrow-minded we are, not able to even tolerate such situation, and we call ourselves as devotees. Just a side note, if things goes beyond one's control and it's bothering one's spiritual progress, then that person must seek guidance from other senior Vaishnavas. Doesn't need to simply continue suffering like that. Another common things happens when dealing with others, with dealing with the mistakes of our own, is try to cover our mistakes by finding faults in others. What happens is that when we get caught by doing some mistakes by someone, we immediately try to defend ourselves by saying, "What about you? Didn't you do this one last time? Didn't that person do like this? What is wrong in me doing this one? Why are you only pointing me? You did, he did, she did, I did." Rather than agreeing, accepting the mistake, we try to justify that the mistake is correct because everyone does it, including yourself, whoever is pointing him. This is to suppress one's own mistake by deviating the conversation topic by placing faults on others. This is not at all a Vaishnava quality. It's a bad technique to cover one's mistakes, one's sins. When someone says something to us about our mistake, then we start hunting in that person who's complaining on us to find faults in him. Whenever we try to search some faults in others like this, it is quite obvious that I have some traces of that fault within me, and that is why I am seeing that in others. Rather taking this route of suppressing our mistakes, there is an alternate way that we can approach. That is to have a clear understanding and acceptance that I have faults. I am not faultless. If I am faultless, if I am sinless, I wouldn't be staying here in this material world. I am staying in this material world that confirms that I am faulty, and that is because of my previous karmas and vasanas. And that person whom I am dealing with is also having faults because of his previous karmas. So the only way to resolve this problem between two faulty people is to look for someone who doesn't have faults, who doesn't have sins, who's free of karmas, who can help us. And we all know the answer. There's only one such person who's free of all these things, and that is Krishna, Purushottama. With that faultless, sinless Lord, who has only all auspicious qualities, unlimited auspicious qualities, we can now try to cover the faults of ours to its core, to its root, so those faults never raise its head again. And the same must be applied to the other who's complaining or who has faults. So rather than covering our faults by finding faults in others, we try to cover our faults, in other words, to remove our faults by the grace of the Lord. One can attain the same result even by approaching a pure devotee who doesn't have those faults, like that of mine. I get help and training from him to be faultless. So what we need to do is we have to reverse our mind's program. Right now, we are suppressing our faults by seeing faults in others. But what we need to practice is to see the faults in us and see the greatness in others. It is sure that everyone has some good qualities, even one good quality, if not many. When we see in this way, then we'll start appreciating the Lord. We appreciate the Lord. Why? Because this person has good qualities due to the grace of the Lord. That is a realization, that is understanding one gets. Then we get some assurance mentally that the same Lord who has graced that person with good qualities can also grace me to remove my faults. Every devotee must have this understanding and conviction that Lord's grace can give good qualities, Lord's grace can remove all the bad qualities that's within us. So, by the grace of the Lord, that person has all these good qualities. And it is because of my karma that I have these bad qualities. But by the grace of the Lord, my bad qualities will be removed. Rather than discussing and trying to work this out ourselves, if we submit to the Lord, accepting our inability, seek His shelter, seek His help by inviting Him into our heart, He will take care of all the anarthas that we have within us. But we have to take that step of approaching the Lord. In this way, my job becomes effortless. Then we will not find faults in others, and we will start appreciating others. We will be more forgiving and forgetting the past things that was troubling us all these days. Some practical application: approach another devotee who praises that devotee whom we are thinking bad. By hearing those praises, my mindset can change. Number 2, contemplate on the fact how much dedication he or she whom I am finding fault in has done for others, how much service he or she is doing, and appreciate that. Lastly, even if our mind does not allow us, still forcefully try to glorify that person, not artificially, but picking on what that person is doing in general to others. This can even be done mentally, not necessary it has to be in person. This will lead gradually a virtual connection with that person. But for all these things to happen, the very first thing we need to do is we accept that we have faults. Rather than seeing faults in others, first see within. Secondly, understanding and accepting that we are also a fault, submit to the Lord, seeking His help to remove our anarthas, our faulty natures. Thirdly, when He is helping us, this is very important. When the Lord is helping us to go through that cleansing process, we must cooperate and work with His program so that the cleansing process happens faster. If we try to interfere in Lord's program, then that process, cleansing process, may get delayed. So let's give the complete control to the Lord to do what is best for us to become pure. And the Lord knows very well what is best for us. Accordingly, He customizes His program on individual basis. But guaranteed, He will let us not go. During this period, He will keep us under His wings. Actually, under His lotus feet. When we do these things, then all we see in our life is only favorable things around us. Though for others, certain things happening in our life may see as unfavorable, but for devotees who follow this process, who understand how this works, they see everything as favorable, and all that events happens in their life is one step closer to Krishna. So let's try to consciously be careful not to find faults in others. Try to rectify ourselves first by taking shelter at Krishna's lotus feet.